long story short, in the 2006, I fell pregnant with my daughter. And actually, when I was pregnant, my lupus disappeared, which was, apparently it's not uncommon, but my lupus disappeared. So apart from having a rash from the sun, because it was a super hot year that year, and I remember it just being so uncomfortably hot. Being pregnant in the heat as well, it was just awful. I remember I got the rash, I only got it on my arms for some reason. I just got a rash on my arms, but my actual lupus was great. Then Eloise was born in November, and I had no complications at all in my pregnancy, and I was monitored every week or 3 times a week, and I had extra scans, and because I didn't know at the time, but there's a high risk of all sorts of complications when you've got lupus and you're pregnant, but luckily, touch wood, I didn't have any of them. And I wasn't really aware of any of them until the day she was born, and again, had a really easy labour. Everything just went really, really like to the book. And when she was born, she was taken away, and or they put her straight on like an ECG scanner for her heart. And again, I was very unaware of this, that people with lupus, when they're pregnant, something to do with the lupus can affect the baby's heart and can actually cause a hole in the heart. And I wasn't aware of this, so all through my pregnancy, I didn't even know, so it wasn't an issue. However, when they whisked her away and then brought her back, and a surgeon came back in and said, "Oh, we need to talk to you. Are you aware of the risks of, the baby having a hole in it?" I was so unaware, like totally unaware of any of it, and I literally felt physically sick, because I thought, oh my God, what are they going to tell me? Like, what has my lupus done? What are they going to tell me? And miraculously, the lupus hadn't been passed through. Eloise was absolutely just 100% perfect. And I think I prayed that night. I was so happy that, something that I was unaware of, but that she was so healthy, and it was just an incredible time. Anyway, the doctor who was looking after us, he said, "What are you going to name her?" I said, "I don't know. I was expecting a boy, and I've got a girl, and I don't know." And he told me this story about one of his patients who had lupus, and she named her daughter Ella Louise. And I always remember thinking, that's really nice, it's got a nice ring to it, but it's not quite right. Anyway, and I said to him, I'm going to call her Eloise because of that. After Eloise was born, and we'd been through all of that with ECG and everything came back fine, and my lupus had been dormant for 9 months. All of a sudden that evening, my lupus went wild. And I was luckily in hospital anyway, but my temperature was off the scale. My body was just completely reacting to giving birth and everything. My body just went into complete meltdown. And they called in my consultant, my own consultant, and he said, "Well, we're going to let you go tomorrow, we're going to let you go home, but you're going to have to stay for a few more days," which was fine actually, because as soon as they got my lupus back under control, I was back on my medication, and actually I was only in for 3 or 4 days, and then I was allowed home, so it was fine. We got it back under control. And I got home, and my most important thing is, like I keep saying with my lupus, is to get myself back into a routine, because I feel when I'm in a routine, I'm in control, and I can control what I'm eating, I can control what exercise I'm doing, and I can control my body in a way that I know it reacts well, with having lupus. So we came home and I was on medication, and to this day I've been on medication since 2005, since my last hospital stay. However, my medication is massively reduced now compared to what it was being on sort of 40-50 milligrams of steroids a day to now being on, you know, maybe 2 milligrams a day maximum. So, you know, huge difference. So since then, I had Eloise in 2006. Things were great. My lupus hasn't been great. It's been up and down. It flares up. Certain times of year it kind of flares up more than others, but nothing major. You know, being a single mom, it was hard because I remember one night phoning my mum at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, I can't do this. And my hands were that bad with my arthritis that I couldn't open the bottles to feed Eloise. So I was on my own, and at that point I was at a low point because I felt so inadequate as a mother because I couldn't even physically feed my daughter, you know, for that, because I couldn't get the lids off the bottles because my hands just would not allow me to open the bottle. So things like that. But for me, it may be a big thing to somebody else. You might be listening to this thinking, oh my God, that's insane. Like, how do you cope with that? For me, because I've grown up with this, because I've lived with this my whole adult life, I have a moment, I deal with it. I might get upset, I might get a bit emotional, and then, you know, just crack on, because you can't change it. You can't change it. You just got to carry on. You just got to continue. So ups and downs with that really, but nothing where I was in hospital. It would always be around about Eloise's birthday. I'd get ill each year. I remember one year in particular, Eloise had to go back to mum and dad's house. I couldn't get off the sofa. I was extremely fatigued. My joints and my arthritis was just horrific. I constantly had the flu. I constantly, you know, for the whole of the winter, was just poorly. And then in the summer, I have the other extreme where I can't go out in the sun because of my skin, but I've learned to manage that well. I've learned to manage it with high factors of suntan cream and just being aware of what I can and can't do. So it wasn't until I was 31. At this point, I'm not only dancing my residency at Birmingham, I'm also now dancing as a Vegas showgirl around the UK and Europe. So we would do gigs all over the country. So we would maybe be in Scotland. We'd drive to Scotland, do our show in the theatre and drive home again. So I was getting in at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So Eloise was predominantly at my mum and dad's house. They were babysitting. I'm juggling, working. I'm juggling having a daughter. I'm juggling being a daughter myself, being a mom, nursery, and this was life. And this was to make ends meet so I could afford to pay the bills in the house that we were living in. So things were crazy, but again, loved it, and I would not change it for the world. You know, it was just the way we lived, and that was great, and that was fine, and that's what we did. But it had a knock-on effect with my health, because then we got to kind of the busiest time of year for us as showgirls, like the Christmas time, and I started to get really ill, and I knew it was my lupus, but it was different. There was something different about how I felt. Again, my hair was falling out, which is the first sign I know when I'm ill. My hair falls out, my skin goes bad, and I just know. But this particular year, I started to get almost like numbness in my face, and it went down just one side of my face here, and all across my head and down the back, and it was itchy, it was numb, it was tingling, it was everything. I'm feeling really poorly, but knowing that I've got to work, so I'm self-employed, there's no one's going to pay my bills. I need to go out to work so I can keep a roof over our head, and I can, So I was adamant I was just continuing to work. And this one particular day, I was really poorly, went to the doctors, and he said, do you know what, it's you've got shingles. And he explained a lot, because obviously my immune system with my lupus had just crashed, and my body's way of that coming out was the fact that I had shingles. So I remember going around to my sister's house where my mum was and saying, oh, I've just been told I've got shingles, I've got to go to work. And mum said, don't, you can't go. I said, I've got to go. Anyway, I went. And at this point, the rash had come out as well. So this whole side of my face was now like blistered, itchy. I lost the sight in this eye. My face on one side dropped. And yeah, and the shingles was actually in my hair. It was all down the back of my neck, and I remember going to work for a couple of nights with this, thinking, oh my God, this is horrendous. And I was in so much pain. But I just carried on. And again, that's my mentality. That's not because anybody told me I had to. That's my mentality of, I'm gonna just keep going. It got to the point where I couldn't just keep going, and I had to take some time out, which again was fine. I just needed to recoup and get myself back to the healthiest I could be, which I did. It took a while, and I gave Eloise chickenpox through the shingles as well, which, you know, but hey ho, it's one of those things. So yeah, that was a battle. That was a, you know, I remember that Christmas, because it was just before Christmas, and I remember that Christmas we were going out for Christmas dinner, and there's no photos of me that year. There's none at all, and it's because for me I felt and looked like the Elephant Man. And I always remember that year that we'd gone out and everyone looked so lovely, and I was so conscious of the fact that for one, I had shingles, and for two, I just felt horrendous. I think the most I stayed awake was like 2 or 3 hours, and then I was back in bed again. I just couldn't physically do anything. And then, so it was kind of mid-January that I started to feel better. However, even now to this day, 7 years on, 8 years on, I have still got numbness in one side of my face as well, which I think is quite obvious, but anyway. So yeah, so I got shingles through the lupus, but you know, I came back stronger, I came back fighting, and so really now for the last 6.5 years, 7 years, I've been really well, and like I say, I'm on medication. I do still go and see different consultants, but for me, it boils down to some fundamentals that I introduced into my life at a very early stage that I know. For one, you need to understand your body. If you've got any autoimmune condition, you need to listen to and understand your own body. You cannot allow people to say, this is what you should be doing, this is what you shouldn't be doing. You know what? If I'd have listened to anybody saying that to me, I wouldn't have followed my career path. I wouldn't have gone and done the amazing things I've done. I wouldn't have, you know, experienced the things that I've experienced. It would have been easier for me to lie in bed and do nothing. Of course it would, but that's not me, and that's not what I'm about. I found a way of listening to my body, of putting good nutrients into my body, of exercising and keeping well and keeping physically fit, which helps the body. Being happy is huge. You know, I took a huge career change in 2012, and I became involved in network marketing business, and the reason why was because one, I wanted to try the products because they're natural, and it was the path I wanted to go down with progressing into my journey with lupus, was to find more natural products that I felt were going to help me, which I did, and they're amazing. And I really feel that that has been a big player in my journey over the last 6-7 years that has really impacted on my health. Also, it allowed me time to be ill if I was ill, if that makes sense. So I didn't necessarily have a boss. So I now teach Pilates, teach dance. I do have to be at classes at certain times, obviously, to teach them, but I find it more of a passion and more of a hobby than specifically getting up to go to a job at 8:30 every single day where I have to sit at a desk doing a job that I maybe don't like, or or going to a factory where I don't want to be, or I have chosen to do what I love. And that's been common throughout my life, because if I am not enjoying something, my stress levels go up. As soon as my stress levels go up, I go into fight or flight mode, and my body releases cortisone, my lupus goes crazy, and I end up in a completely different place, that I don't particularly want to be in. So I've had to choose and tailor my life and my career around what I know is my passion and what I love and what is good for me. That's been easy because I love dancing, I love teaching, I've got a real passion for teaching, and I also, now being a Pilates teacher as well, I'm understanding even more so the importance of health and well-being, good nutrition, good exercise regimes, not just for me but for children growing up, and good, stupid things like just good posture, good mental well-being, which is a huge part of it. A big part of lupus is the fact that you can become depressed and anxious and slip into these deep depressions because of the condition and because of the way you're feeling. And it might be a bit, you're getting paranoid about certain things, you feel that you should be doing more and you beat yourself up about it, and all of this comes out because you've got a condition that's invisible. And this is another thing as well that has been massive to me. I mean, you've probably noticed actually on my hands there, you can see this is lupus. This is wintertime lupus for me. I get really, really weird things on my hands. I've also got scarring now in my hair. This is why I always wear my hair this side. Which is a huge bold patch here in my scalp. It's scar tissue that's never going to grow back. Again, that's something that that's my kind of what do you call it? Like not my trademark. It reminds me every day of how lucky I am to be where I am, doing what I'm doing. Regardless of an illness or condition that I've got. But what was I saying? Yeah, my winter lupus. But all of these things that I do in my life is because I know that they are gonna be good for me in the long run, but also it's the case if I can teach others who, you don't have to be ill to be healthy, to want to be healthy. It's not a case of, when you're ill, you then look for solutions or you look for better ways of living. It's because I think everybody should be actively looking for better ways to be healthy, to be more aware of their mental health, their physical health, what they're putting into their body, and not just food and drink, but I'm talking on a social media level as well. What are you inputting into your brain? What are you feeding? I love podcasts, I love reading, I love all of this stuff that makes me feel good, and it makes my it makes my knowledge wider, it makes it broader, it makes me adaptable to other things, adaptable to change, able to see things in a different light or from a different perspective. And all of these things, a good mental well-being really helps your physical health. And that's something that I've learned along my journey in the last 23 years. If up here is in tune and in the right place, my body's in the right place. I've noticed trigger points, not just things like the sun or situations that I've been in, but trigger points of, yes, when I'm really tired, I know that's going to be a trigger. Yes, I go out in the sun, I know that's going to be a trigger. But also, being completely stressed is a huge trigger, huge trigger. if there's something really bothering me, that's a huge trigger. If I'm not comfortable with the situation, that's a trigger. So I know that these things are going to really impact on my health, so I have to change them, yeah? So most people who are in an uncomfortable situation or who are stressed can quite happily continue to be stressed for a certain amount of time before they're going to have to change that, before it starts to have an impact on their mental and their physical well-being. With my lupus, I know as soon as I feel that, I know I've got to change it straight away, because I know that that is going to impact me more so because of my condition. So it's understanding the body, understanding your environment, your situation, making it a better situation for yourself. And yeah, it probably is a bit selfish. I probably do have to be a bit selfish in as much as I have to be calm. I have to be, you know, my dance students would never agree with that I'm calm. However, that's another vlog. I'm completely going to do a dance vlog for you, whether it's a dance teacher vlog or a what we used to get up to dancer vlog. That will be coming, I promise you. I'm going to get some friends in to help me on that one. But yeah, understanding your own mental well-being and mental health and physical well-being and physical health, you get those two in balance and you're onto a good thing. And I think it's important what you're inputting food-wise is very, very important when you've got an autoimmune disease. The biggest thing is you can't see, like I say, apart from, you know, the little visible signs that you, on my hands possibly, on my cheek, the fact that this cheek is slightly, you know, different, and that's actually due to a jaw problem, but again, through my lupus, I've got jaw erosion on one side, which affects my jawline. So things like that you probably wouldn't notice, but it's all to do with my condition. Apart from that, you wouldn't look at me and go, oh yeah, she's really ill, look at her. You know, with autoimmune you don't, they're invisible diseases. So I just wanted to kind of make this video and raise more awareness of invisible diseases, of autoimmune diseases that millions and millions and millions of people are suffering from, that you know, that we need more research, guys. We need more awareness of this, because I was a very scared 15-year-old who had no idea what this was, you know, and it's the same with Crohn's disease, with all these invisible diseases that are around that you can't physically see them. It's not like you can see that somebody's ill with it, but they are struggling with a battle that possibly is unbelievably hard to cope with. And on the outside, that's the first thing people say to me when I say, you know, I've got lupus. Oh, but you look so well. And I say, yes, I am. I'm okay at the moment, you know. But even when I'm ill, I can still look okay. So we need more awareness in these autoimmune diseases. I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you have made it to the end, you know, drop me some comments. Let me know how, you know, your experience with autoimmune, you know, your take on it, how you cope with it. What's your coping mechanism? What do you do to help? What do you do that makes you feel good? So yeah, drop me some comments, hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you all soon.